am Dan. I work here at Zebu, Zebu Digital, which is the marketing agency which has put on DeFi Live, and I'm one of the co-founders and the director of communications. So just a very quick intro there. I don't know who wants to go next. Barry, do you want to take the stage?
Happy to. Hi, everyone. My name is Barry Herbst, based in Manhattan, New York. I'm an SVP of the Elliot Group. I have been a crypto, DeFi, and NFT investor the last up to 4 years, I guess you can say, depending on the era we're in. And much love to everyone out there. GM.
Yeah, GM for sure. Thanks so much. William, do you want to take?
My name is William, based in London. I'm one of the co-founders of InCryptoHub, which is a sort of a dashboard with a lot of widgets on it and tools, really designed for people who are in the crypto space to do their own research. I also, like Barry, got in about 4 years ago. My baptism of fire was buying the top in 2017. So I think a lot of people got in that way, but then actually just fell in love with the technology, followed it ever since, and ultimately made it my career.
Perfect. Thanks so much. And last but definitely not least, Andy.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm based in Singapore. I'm Andy. I'm currently the chairman of BigONE crypto exchange. And I'm also the chief digital advisor for Mongolia. So I've been in the space for roughly about 6 years, mostly as a advisor to government. I have a book as well called the Blockchain Revolution 2030, and happy to meet everybody.
Perfect. Thanks so much, guys. So look, like I said, thanks so much for joining. Let's just dive straight into it then. So this panel is called Global Macro Trends in Crypto. What are the biggest trends within crypto at the moment? And wider to that, what are the trends within the global macro economy which are really affecting crypto markets at the moment? I don't know who wants to kick off with that one. William, how about
I
you?
can start with something if you want. That's fine. There's a very, very long list of things. I mean, I find the more you learn about blockchain, the more you realize the applications are just, blow your mind at the things that it can deal with. I think a trend, something that I've actually just noticed and personally been affected by in my business life, is that because of the sort of money laundering rules getting ever more draconian, and I'm just speaking in the UK, the banking, your personal banking and your business banking is becoming increasingly more difficult. There are literally swathes of private people having their bank accounts shut down, because they might have got 50 quid transferred from somebody. And there's a lot of companies who are having their bank accounts frozen and shut down. And I, a couple of years ago, personally experienced it. Before Christmas, having our company bank account shut down for 2 months, and we couldn't pay salaries and no explanation. And then it was just opened again, And I think this sort of oppression of people in this way is just, if you press people from one side, they find an out, and really decentralized finance and being able to just move and eventually have all of your financial activities on the blockchain. I feel like it's so inevitable now because it's becoming so unworkable, with the red tape that's going on in our general financial lives at the moment. So I think I'm pro-regulation, but not over-regulation. So that's one trend that I think is pushing people very hard.
Okay.
William, all great points. One trend we're seeing here in the U.S., and I'm sure all over the world we're seeing it, is inflation. The consumer price index numbers just dropped like a half hour ago. Prices are up 6.6%. Inflation in the U.S. is at an all-time high, I think a 30-year high, which is affecting every single person, which is really, of course, scary. People who are working minimum wage jobs are having their life taken away from them because, they have less to save. They're spending a lot more money. And of course, we're seeing the value of our dollar. And of course, I'm sure many people are seeing fiat currencies all over the world being devalued. And this is driving a lot of people all over the world into cryptocurrencies and trying to find that higher yield in DeFi, which presents a huge opportunity. So I think we're in the right place at the right time.
Perfect. And
Well,
Andy, I'd be really keen to get your opinion on this as well.
well, I think I'm 100% pro regulation, to be very honest. But also at the same time, I want to see a certain level of innovation. You know, so I think both panelists cover it very well. In their perspective. But I think my take, for my for the point that I want to bring out is that I think technology right now, or maybe cryptocurrency right now, they're trying to empower people to rethink their typical career life, right? Because COVID has changed a lot of things. Many of us are just working from home, so technology, especially internet, and then of course right now one of the talking points is Web3 has a very big impact and created a lot of different opportunities for people to pursue, right? So I have friends in the traditional education industry, and now they have switched everything online. Traditional finance are slowly shifting to more digital, fully digitized finance. And then the older traditional players are really thinking of using DeFi as a opportunity for them to grow their business globally. So these are things that are changing. Even from a crypto exchange perspective, you know, um, we came from an era where maybe KYC is not so important. Right now, KYC is very important. We try our very best to keep everything aligned and make everything suitable and palatable for users. So I think empower people to rethink is actually a very big trend that is happening, and I do believe that crypto is leading the path. Thank you.
Interesting. Yeah,
And,
I mean
Andy,
regulation. Sorry, Barry, go ahead.
no problem. I just wanted to say Andy touched upon a really key point. He alluded to human capital, which is an area that we at Elliot are really, have our finger on the pulse. We're an executive search firm working with and retained by consumer brands to place their senior level talent. We're seeing all these companies in the consumer space either thinking of tokenizing, from restaurant groups, health, wellness, and fitness companies, especially in the midst of the pandemic. To Andy's great point, how are these companies able to stay in business, and what are they able to do to stick around? From the human capital perspective, we're seeing a lot of these titans of industry all over consumer coming to, and are at least showing interest in Web3 or some variation of Web3, because a lot of them have not been exposed to that name just yet. We're being sought out now because a lot of these firms in the space currently, especially in the NFT Metaverse DeFi side, are looking for human capital. They need that key leadership position, and they don't know where to get it. So they're coming to traditional industry, which is key to their success, longevity, and growth.
That's interesting. And why are so many kind of mainstream or traditional companies looking into tokenization? I mean, security tokens are becoming very, very prominent. Some companies now are exploring, rather than going public via an IPO, an equity raise. They tokenize the value of their company and use that to raise capital. Why are people entering that space? Is it because it's less regulated? Is it because it's less stringent and therefore offers more scope for innovation and a lot more leniency?
Great question. First and foremost, it's a marketing campaign. That's it. First and foremost, it's a marketing campaign. They want to stay in front of their users. They want to get in front of new eyeballs. Whenever someone comes into this space, it's a massive PR push internationally with the push of a button. So in terms of tokenization, look, it's adding more assets to the balance sheet. It gives their consumers, their users, customers a way to really engage with the product in a whole new way, and possibly a way for them to earn passive income by holding that token.
I have a slightly different perspective, though. To be honest, I just felt that actually a lot of traditional companies who, just to be again very honest and candid, those companies that didn't do well in the traditional space, they will not do well in the tokenized space. To be very honest, we are not a fast track place where we collect all the junk and make the all these junk-like companies good again. That's not the role. And
Totally
when we
agree.
talk about STO security tokens, many people will say that, hey, it's a lot cheaper to there's a lot cheaper and there's no middleman. If we're going to list on a STO token, or get ourselves to become a security-like token. Actually, it's not true. I do believe that there are still middlemen, involved in the whole STO listing. There are also costs, hidden and non-hidden costs that companies got to bear. So after all this rah-rah, all this PR campaign and so forth, does it guarantee that they get the kind of results that they want? Most probably not. That is also one very big reason why STO is very much not growing that fast, because on one hand they are being restricted by the regulations, and the other hand is the results are not proven. So I still felt that tokenization, STO, and some other utility like products or payment like product or tokens, they are all different things targeting at different people.
Interesting.
Totally right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think?
I would just say. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying. I mean, I think when you get any sort of hype cycle, and nothing gets more hype than the cryptocurrency market, you get a whole lot of people jumping on board, and normally, as a good chunk of those people are the people who couldn't companies or that couldn't make it in what they were doing before. So they think, oh, let's do this, and then we can raise a whole lot of money, and we can. But ultimately, if they've got bad management and a bad plan, they're going to have a bad result. There'll be maybe some short-term profits, maybe people dumping on other people, whatever. But ultimately it's not. It's just a short-term thing, right?
True.
But
And then that also resulted in a lot of wannabe crypto expert, that pops up from everywhere. So that is also something that is fairly fairly not nice, actually.
Yeah, so I think we're touching upon two different points, and I both your points are well received, and I hear what you're saying. Just to add a little more context, most of our clients, or many of our clients here in the U.S., are restaurant groups, and they're all looking for ways to bring in consumers into the restaurants or ghost kitchens. There's no better way to hook them with maybe an NFT or something that adds utility, maybe a token, not one that you could actually trade or sell, but one that has utility with discounts, etc. And that's that kind of first flavor where a lot of our clients are getting that taste of. Now, even when they leave the traditional industry, traditional consumer industry, whether it's restaurants, health, wellness, fitness, cannabis, they're really interested with and enamored with crypto for many reasons. It's whether they get exposed to it from the NFT side. We all saw Every Days by Beeple sell for 69 million, getting exposed to Web3 in that regard or elsewhere. We're seeing a huge kind of exodus of human capital from traditional industry to this new frontier, which I think is incredibly exciting.
Interesting. One of the things I've been noticing recently is that it's alongside Barry, what you're saying about restaurant companies, all of that kind of stuff going into it because they're enamored with the tech and fully support it. One thing which also has been discussed a lot recently is it's inaccessible industries are looking to STOs, looking to tokenize. So, for example, like private equity. Industries where if you're a retail consumer, it's very difficult to get access to. It's very highly regulated. You have to have accreditation, all of that kind of stuff. So one of the narratives they're leaning on is that we're exploring these avenues, blockchain, tokenization, that kind of things, to open ourselves up to retail investors. How genuine is that? Is that just a marketing stunt, a PR stunt, or is there really that driving force of democratization behind this? Emergence of tokenization within these traditional industries?
I think it depends on the company. I think it depends on the CEO or the board's really intentions. That's critical to the success of that brand's reputation. We're seeing a lot of these groups that are at least exploring it. They have not hit the switch just yet. And remember, a lot of these massive organizations, public companies, there's a lot of scrutiny here, so they can't just hit that switch right away. There's a lot of due diligence that goes into these different decisions, and it's never an easy choice. But I think we're going to hear a lot more news, especially starting with NFTs, and then NFTs that confer and have utility too. And then the second stage will be tokens, with a lot of these public companies in the traditional consumer industry, service sector industry, the next probably 6 to 12 months. That's going to be as mainstream as NFTs are today.
Interesting. And William, I'd be keen to get your take on this as well. Are NFTs really the main thing driving adoption of blockchain at the moment, or are there other key driving forces behind adoption?
I think it's. I mean, ultimately NFTs are quite fun, right? And although DeFi is obviously fantastic, this is DeFi Live, and that's the big picture. In terms of the financial world, bringing people in, people do like collectibles. It's more for the average person who doesn't understand the world of finance, maybe owning some kind of collectible, some kind of digital avatars more interesting. So I think that's just bringing people into the market. When people come into the market, they quite often buy something that's, crap. But then they get a bit more maybe they'll make some money and get a bit more sophisticated. So I think from that side, it's great. And then NFTs, obviously there's the fun side of NFTs, but then, there's the very real side of NFTs, which is essentially, the prevention of counterfeiting. And counterfeiting, again, is a massive growing problem. You've got various aspects to counterfeiting, but, one very important aspect is things like counterfeit medicine or counterfeit alcohol, or baby food, and there's been these scandals, like in 2008 in China, there was that big baby food scandal where there was 250,000 babies poisoned, and I can't remember, several hundred or 60 of them died. It's just awful. And then you've got, in Russia, alcohol poisonings where I think 60 people died, and that was like recently this year, and it's happening all the time. So using blockchain for tracking, NFT technology, all these kind of things, you can start to put in systems to protect supply chains. And I think that's also that's a very, very important aspect, for the adoption of blockchain technology.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, a really interesting point there about, the fact they are fun and that's, could potentially be the thing that initially gets people interested in them, but really there is this, deep fundamental utility to them. And yeah, I'd be very keen to get your take on this next point, which is that, crypto at the moment seems to be a real mix of, very, very complex projects, protocols, so much tech and so much innovation. And then, the other side, the lighter side of it, the NFTs, the art NFTs, and then the meme coins, the dog tokens, that kind of thing. What would you say has been really driving people to your exchange, in recent times? Is it the because they want to get involved in Bitcoin, Ethereum, those cryptos, with traditional cryptos with real utility, real value, or is it Dogecoin, SHIB, that kind of things, which are more light-hearted, more kind of user-friendly, entry level?
I think it's a mix of a few elements. So for BigONE itself, if you look at most of our the coins that are listed, we are very selective in terms of what can come on, and then most of our target audience are fairly fairly on the professional side, and then their age range is about 25 to about 45 years old. So I think what they actually really want to do on our exchange, of course, is to earn money, right? And then if we are able to sieve out the better projects, out from the few thousands or maybe tens of thousands of projects, I think that gives them a better maybe a better comfortable manner, to look at some of the projects that are listed, and to be honest, right now a lot of these trends are moving towards the meme coins. We have things like the Shiba, for example. We have projects that are like Kishu, that is going to work with us fairly closely as well. So all these meme coins are actually another form of driver, because people are looking at it because it is trendy. It is easily understood. It's not like some of these projects where they tell you that, oh, I'm doing a level one. Is it what level one? What level two? What level zero? So meme tokens are very straightforward. You go in, you look at the fun side of things. You have an NFT, you have a marketplace, you have some GameFi, and probably some Metaverse, in it. And then people can relate to it, they can use it, and then I think that kind of utility is actually the key. I mean, of course, people can tell me that, hey, blockchain is here to change the world. It's going to change your life. But come on, man, let's be very frank. Only through things that you can relate to, then the adoption is going to be something that is the most important. So from an exchange perspective, we look at things that are safer, we look at things that are more reliable, credible, and last but not least, we look at projects that are more popular. So that's how we assess to relate with our target users. Yep.
Interesting. Perfect, guys. Look, so much. I'm just conscious of the time as well. So I think this has been a really interesting discussion. I was just wondering if there are any final thoughts. Maybe we just go around and give some final thoughts about the key really top level trends within the global macro environment for crypto at the moment. So Barry, I don't know if you have anything that you want to leave with.
Yeah, we're gonna see more mainstream adoption of cryptos when people realize the insane yields they could earn with passive income, which has been kind of one of my focuses the last 4 years in the space. When people realize that their data has been, when people realize that they are the product rather than anything else, that's when I think Web3 will take over in terms of people owning their data using protocols and blockchains and dApps where people own their own data, and a whole host of other things that we could all touch upon. But we're here at the right time.
I think just to say, Barry, your comment about people realizing that they're the product, which is what we are at the moment, with the social media, the way it works and everything like that. And I'd never heard that phrase before until I watched The Social Dilemma, which I'm guessing everybody's watched. And I think that's the most important documentary I've seen in the last decade, and you do actually realize that it's the first time in history where people are the product. And it's very, very scary. And Web3 is hopefully the solution to a lot of that.
Sure. I just want to add a very, very quick one, is that I think the true value is not in terms of the price, it may be because of the product, but I think the true value is how we really use blockchain to do good for everybody. I think that's actually the true value, because price and so forth can be manipulative, but if we are thinking of doing good, thinking of better utility, I think that is where how all the value of what we are doing will be amplified. So I hope to see more of such, in months or in years to come. Thank you.
Perfect, guys. Thanks so much. Look, a really interesting conversation, and you definitely left us all with a lot to go away and think about. So no, I just want to say thanks so much for your time. Thanks for joining us here at DeFi Live, and we look forward to hearing more from you guys soon.
Alrighty, take care.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks, Dan.
Have a good day, everyone.
Alrighty.
Bye, guys.